Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this general information video about the EHLS program. My name is Chelsea Lafferty. I am the EHLS program manager at the Center for Applied Linguistics, and I'm so pleased today to be joined by my colleagues at Georgetown. And I'll hand it to Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Mariani, and I am the program manager and the director of recruitment for the EHLS program at Georgetown University. So happy to be here with you today.
So during today's recording, we are going to talk about the English for Heritage Language Speakers program, what it offers, and its requirements. We will get into the details about the application process and talk a little bit about the skills testing. We will also talk about the application process and provide some tips to keep in mind as you go through the application and apply for the program. So I'm going to do a brief overview of the EHLS program before we dive in deeper. Introduction to the EHLS program. Many of you might be wondering, well, what is EHLS? EHLS is a scholarship program with a focus on professional English communication skills and career skills. The program trains advanced speakers of English to be effective communicators and strong candidates for federal jobs. It is hosted at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Every scholar admitted to the program receives a full scholarship funded by the federal government. The program is 8 months in length. The first 6 months are full-time on Georgetown University's downtown campus, and that's near Chinatown District, downtown. The final 2 months are part-time, conducted online. Participants are native speakers of critical languages who have a strong interest and commitment to public service. EHLS scholars come from diverse cultural, educational, and professional backgrounds, but they are all united by an interest and commitment to that public service. A little background about our wonderful program. EHLS was established because critical language skills are in high demand in the U.S. government. There are other government-sponsored scholarship programs to teach critical languages to native English speakers, but this is the only program designed to prepare individuals with native knowledge of critical languages for the federal workplace. A brief background on the organization and history of EHLS. EHLS is a partnership among 4 organizations. The National Security Education Program, NCEP, as we lovingly refer to it, it provides the funding. The Center for Applied Linguistics, where I work, oversees instructions and coordinates language testing. Georgetown University provides the instruction, that's where Maria works, and then the Institute of International Education oversees the application process. EHLS was established in 2006. In 2020 will be the 17th program year. How wonderful is that? So some of the wonderful benefits of the scholarship and the terms of the scholarship are listed on the screen. The scholarship for the EHLS program is awarded through the National Security Education Program. The National Security Education Program, NCEP, is administered through the Defense Language and National Security Education Office, or referred to as DELENCIO. Each scholarship provides full tuition and fees for the 8-month academic program, in addition to a living stipend. $3,600 per month during the first 6 months of the program, which are full-time, and then $1,200 per month during the last 2 months, which is part-time. For scholars moving from outside the Washington, D.C. metro area, NCEP can reimburse relocation costs for up to $1,000. Other wonderful benefits include health insurance through Georgetown University, a laptop computer, which you can use to complete your EHLS assignments, and you get to keep after the program ends, as well as a certificate from Georgetown University upon successful completion of the program. And that in itself opens up many doors, especially in the DC area. Scholars must agree to the terms that I have outlined here on the screen. You must commit to full-time attendance and successful completion of the academic program. You must agree not to work during the full-time portion of the academic program. That's the first 6 months of the program. And you must accept a service requirement after completing the academic program. And Maria is going to talk about that service requirement in just a little bit. So we've told you all about this wonderful program, but we haven't told you who's eligible or the requirements to be eligible for the program. So you must be a US citizen at the time of application. You must be a native speaker of one of the 24 languages listed here on the screen, and you must have professional level proficiency in that language. I'm going to list those languages now. Arabic, Azerbaijani, Balochi, Bambara, Dari, Farsi, Khas, Hindi, Kazakh, Korean, Kurdish, Kyrgyz, Mandarin Chinese, Pashto, Punjabi, Russian, Somali, Tajik, Tamashek, Thai, Turkish, Urdu, Uzbek, and Vietnamese. So you must be a native speaker of one of those languages. You must have advanced proficiency in English. Your proficiency in both English and your native language will be formally tested. We will discuss that in detail later in this presentation as well. You must have a college degree. That is at least a bachelor's degree. A master's degree, a doctorate's degree is fine as well, but it must be at least a bachelor's degree, and it must be equivalent to a bachelor's degree in the United States. You must be able to use the internet, word processing programs, and PowerPoint. You must commit to a full-time day program from January through June in Washington, D.C. at Georgetown University. And you must be willing to work for the federal government for 1 year in a position with national security responsibilities. It will be your responsibility to find that position. I am now going to hand it over to Maria to discuss the service requirement with you all. Maria.
All right, we're going to work, let's see, I guess backwards, but let's look at the service requirement. We're asking for a 1-year commitment to work for the federal government, but we really are interested in folks that want to make a career of federal work. And I can't emphasize enough that as a scholar, it is your responsibility to look for the job of your choice. Of course, it must be a position with national security responsibility. You will get a lot of support from your instructor in the career skills class, but ultimately it will be your job search. And we are a university, not a job placement agency. So really and truly, it is your job search. So what does good faith effort mean? Well, you would need to document and keep track of all the jobs and positions that you have applied to, and you are required to keep a log in INSEPNet. And this is a way of showing that you have made a good faith effort. Okay, so let's look a little bit more in fulfilling the service requirement. We have 3 broad tiers of service. And they're listed here in descending order of preference. So you could see tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and we'll go through them together. So tier 1. Tier 1 includes our 4 priority areas. This is really where we'd like you to do your search initially and really search hard. As an EHLS scholar, you're required to begin your job search with these departments. So any civilian or foreign service position within within these departments will count towards your requirement. And you don't necessarily need to be a language, it doesn't need to be a language-enabled position. You don't need to be a language person for that position. Scholars work in diverse fields, including cyber, finance, acquisitions, in addition to foreign affairs. And we encourage you to think broadly about where you may be able to apply your skills. And one thing I would like you to note is that as far as the State Department is concerned, we're not a stepping stone to a Foreign Service officer position. The State Department is mainly interested in EHLS scholars to fill language instructor's position at FSI, the Foreign Service Institute. And this is where most of our folks land jobs at State. So that's Tier 1. Tier 2. If you're unable to find a suitable position within Tier 1, you can then expand your job search to include positions in Tier 2. And this is in the greater federal government with national security responsibilities as well. Some past scholars have found jobs in other agencies, but the positions needed to have national security responsibility, and it was up to the scholar to make the case to our funder, NCEP. NCEP has a very broad understanding of national security, including issues of population, competitiveness. One year we had a scholar at the Department of Commerce. So really you could start looking broadly in Tier 2 after you've exhausted your Tier 1 searches. So if Tier 2 is not working out, then Tier 3 would be your last resort. And this is only after you examples of where our scholars have landed. Here's just a few examples. And really, we have scholars, former scholars that are doing work in so many different areas. And as you can imagine, we've been doing this for 16 years now, so we have people everywhere. But this just kind of gives you an idea of the sort of positions that our scholars have taken. Okay, so let's take a look at fulfilling the service requirement. And meet our scholars and present the opportunities available to them in their agencies. And many times they will give you their cards, their emails, and oftentimes they've even have offered our scholars to accept resumes and to track applications that our scholars have already submitted. This is huge. And as a scholar, you get notification of exclusive job openings through INSEPnet. And many scholars have gotten really great jobs through these exclusive job postings that come to only our scholars within the programs that we're affiliated with. EHLS scholars have a special hiring advantage called Schedule A, and you can look this up on the internet to tell you more about what Schedule A is all about. But in a nutshell, under Schedule A, an agency can, if there is an urgent need for your expertise. But please note, you must still go through the clearance process if that job requires one. And if you want more information about service requirement, we recommend you tuning into what to expect during and after the EHLS program webinar. And you can find that on our website. Okay, let's take a look at the academic program. So here are the goals of the academic program. We work on all 4 language skills. And we also work on your professional skills, such as resume writing, dressing for success, delivering a 1 to 2 minute elevator speech, and we even help you put together an elevator speech. And we work on your interviewing skills as well. Here are some special features of our program. We have guest speakers from different agencies that come to teach you, for example, how to write a federal style brief or how to deliver an oral brief to a high-level government official. The capstone project, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We also have weekly guest recruiters from different agencies and contractors that come to speak to you about opportunities in their agencies. And let's see, let's look at, this is the foundation of the EHLS curriculum. And you can read through this. In the news analysis class, you're assigned articles to read and taught how to do critical analysis of the news. Each scholar might, for example, report a news piece from their area of the world to the entire class on any given day. In the reading and writing class, you learn how to write reports and do research, drawing sound analytical conclusions in a federal style way. In the POC, the Professional Oral Communications class, you are making presentations on a daily basis, and many times the instructor is recording you and making comments for you to review as you watch your taped presentation. So by the time OSAP presentations come along and the symposium comes, our scholars are so well prepared. They have practiced so much, and everyone just does an amazing job. We make you comfortable in sending emails in English and teaching you the proper format and protocol, what is expected of you. In these emails, we have a negotiation component, and we also teach you how to run effective meetings. By the time the half point comes through the program, you have a beautifully perfected resume to submit to future employers. And we have you do mock interviews, and we actually have agency representatives come in to do these practice interviews with you and give you feedback. We even teach you how to dress for the interview and prepare for the interview. Okay, so let's look at our courses. We've already spoken about the professional oral communications, the news analysis, and the career skills classes. But we have found that throughout the years, 15 plus 16 years now, that after 6 months, scholars still need help with writing and career skills development. So several years ago, we added these 2 courses as online classes for an additional 2 months, and that would be in July and August. And while you're in the 6-month intensive program, you cannot work. You sign an agreement not to work. And actually, it would be impossible to hold a job, even a part-time job, and successfully complete the program. During the part-time online 2-month program, however, you can work and you can get a job anywhere in the world, since it's all online. Okay. So let's take a look at the OSAP. The analysis project, or OSAP as we call it, is our capstone project. This is your chance as an EHLS scholar to shine and show off your knowledge and skills. You work with a mentor from one of the agencies on a topic provided by them specifically for you, which will directly relate to your native language and your area of the world. Perhaps your mentor is an expert in that area of the world, but does not have the language capacity, your native language capacity, and the cultural knowledge that you as a native might have. You would provide that knowledge in doing research and are an asset to the mentor. You get to do research on the topic in your native language and other languages that you know. For example, a past scholar from the Maghreb, actually from Algeria, did her research in Arabic, French, Tamashek, and of course, English. Many scholars get job offers as a result of their OSAP research and presentations at the symposium. And scholars sometimes bring copies of the written report to the symposium to give out to interested members of the audience. And it's up to the scholars. Some scholars will put this paper out on a table for everyone to take. Other scholars will hold on to their research paper and give it out only to people in agencies where they feel that they are interested in working. It's up to them. Okay, let's move on. One of the things that everyone says is a benefit of the program is that they feel that they have improved their confidence in English. And actually, many say that it is a kind of metamorphosis that they experience. We test your English skills before entering the program, at the beginning of the program, at midpoint, and at the end of the program. Among the many tests that are given is the OPI test. This is a telephone test, and it's performed by a government-approved tester. And you get a rating that you can put on your resume. This test is administered at the beginning of the program and then again at the end of the program. By the time you are finished with the EHLS program, you will have compiled a beautiful professional portfolio that includes a well-polished resume, writing samples. Some people put their OSAP project in there. US government scale English and heritage language test scores, and a certificate from Georgetown, which Chelsea said definitely opens doors. The EHLS program, keep in mind, is a non-degree, non-certificate a non-degree certificate program. Okay, let's continue. The 2022 program schedule is, as you see, we start January 10th and go through July 1st. That's the full-time intensive program that will be on campus in our downtown campus near Chinatown. And we do intend to be on campus for this. The part-time online program that I told you about where you can work is July 11th through August 29th. Okay, let's look at our program schedule. And this gives you some dates to look at. So please note that there are 1-week breaks, and our program is so intensive that we do not excuse absences, even with a doctor's note. And we follow the Georgetown University guidelines of 15% absences, 15% absences allowed. More than that, you may be subject to failing. And we suggest that you schedule your doctor appointment, your dentist appointment, your tax appointment with your accountants, whatever you need to do, all your appointments during these break times. And this is why we tell you in advance. And notice that graduation is August 29th, and graduation is mandatory. So you do need to attend in order to get your certificate. Let's take a look at the sample daily schedule. This is an example, only an example of what your schedule might look like. Your classes might not be in this exact order, and you may not have every class every day. So take a look. I mean, it's a full day. And This year we started a little bit later, not at 9 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, and we shifted things around. But next year when we are in person, we may start at 9 o'clock again. Anyway, so this kind of gives you an idea of our program schedule, our curriculum. So now I'm going to hand it back to Chelsea to tell you how to apply for the EHLS program. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. So now we've kind of gone over, overview of the program, the service requirement, the academic program. So now let's go over how to actually apply for this program. So the application process. It is in 2 stages. All candidates will complete the first stage, while only some candidates will be invited to the second stage. So that you are aware, steps 1, 2, and 3. Steps 1, you submit your application, you prepare your application. Step 2 is that you submit that application and all supporting documents. Step 3 is that you complete an OPI in English. And then stage 2 is composed of step 4. And again, only individuals have to be invited to stage 2. So step 4 is taking language and technology skills tests in Washington, D.C. And it's also receiving that final notification of your results and status from the application and the tests and all the good stuff. And then you get notified of if you're accepted or not. Some very important dates to keep in mind. The application is currently available. See our website, www.ehlsprogram.org, for that link. The deadline to submit your application and supporting documents is 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on July 8th, 2021. I believe that's a Thursday, so keep that in mind. Once that application is submitted and considered fully, all components are there, applicants will be invited to schedule an oral proficiency interview in English. The OPIs will be administered through July 23rd, 2021. We highly recommend submitting your application and your supporting documentation as early as possible, so that you can schedule an OPI as soon as possible to receive plenty of time to work with your schedule and schedule that OPI at a time that's convenient for you. We will talk a little bit more about that OPI later in the presentation. So EHLS will notify candidates of their status in September. Some candidates will be, we call it, provisionally selected and invited to move on to those skills testing process. And so you'll find out about that in September. In late September to early October, those provisionally selected candidates will complete language testing. This is likely going to happen in Washington, D.C. in person. And I say likely because, well, we all know how the pandemic has affected us. And so at this time, we are anticipating that skills testing will happen in person in Washington, D.C. And you will need to be present in person for that on either Saturday, September 25th, or Saturday, October 2nd, to take the English Language Proficiency Test, or referred to as the ELPT, as well as a basic computer skills test. You will also complete an additional oral proficiency interview in your native language. We will determine safety measures due to COVID-19 as we get closer. However, at this time, we plan to complete these tests in person. EHLS staff will notify candidates of their final status in late October to early November. The program starts January 10th, 2022. So here on the screen, you're going to see a graphic that depicts what stage 1 looks like. The 3 requirements in stage 1 is completing your application, submitting all necessary supporting documentation, And both of those, the online application and supporting documents, have to be submitted by 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on July 8th, 2021. Then you will be informed that you can then move on to the OPI process, the oral proficiency interview in English. And that's the first OPI is only in English. And you will have until July 23rd, 2021 to submit to do that OPI. So be sure to complete all sections of the application. Upload the supporting documents, which includes your resume and your transcript, to the application system. Please be aware that foreign degrees must be evaluated. You will need to contact an accredited evaluation service for this evaluation. You will then need to upload it to the application system. Evaluations can take some time. Can take quite a bit of time sometimes, up to sometimes 2 months. So start early to avoid missing the deadline. You must also select 2 to 3 professional references. These are people who will write really stellar recommendation letters for you. You will enter their contact information into the application system and an email will be sent out to them. If possible, one recommendation should be from a current supervisor. You might also consider former supervisors or professors you've had. I can't stress enough, please keep it professional. We suggest that you do not choose family members or personal friends. You will then receive an automated email confirming your submission of your application. When you have submitted your application and it has been reviewed for completion by IIE staff, so that means they go in and they tech review it and they make sure all the components are there and they match the requirements. Once your application has received that review and you have at least one of those recommendation letters in from your recommenders, you will receive another email with a link and step-by-step instructions on scheduling the oral proficiency interview in English. So let's talk a little bit about that oral proficiency interview. Once an application is submitted and considered fully there, all the components are there, with at least one of those recommendation letters, applicants can proceed to scheduling an oral proficiency interview or an OPI in English. Applicants cannot schedule an OPI until they have completed all of those components of the application and submitted it, and it's been reviewed by our staff at IIE. The link and step-by-step instructions on scheduling an OPI in English will be emailed to applicants upon that successful review of their application. OPIs are administered by Language Testing International. The OPI is a live 30 to 45-minute telephone conversation between a certified tester and a test taker. That test taker is potentially you. Through a series of personalized questions regarding the test taker's academic, professional, personal experience, a sample of speech is elicited and rated in accordance with the Interagency Language Roundtable Scale, and that's the ILR scale. Candidates can only choose to have an OPI proctored remotely. This year, due to the pandemic, we're only offering virtual/remote proctoring options. A remotely proctored test can be taken from anywhere, from your home, from your workplace, where have you. You will have a virtual proctor who will be responsible for the test security. Once your environment is secure, the proctor will give you the contact information for you to call the OPI tester via a telephone. The OPI is still a telephonic conversation. It just means that the person watching you take the test, the proctor, is virtual, and they're going to come on the screen via a webcam and watch you take the test to make sure that, to certify that your environment is safe, and then also to certify that you are who you say you are. So some things to note: the test taker is responsible for providing the necessary technology. That includes a laptop computer, a webcam, telephone, strong telephone connection, and a really, really stable, good internet connection. The test taker must review the technology requirements, download the necessary software, and create a profile with the remote proctor service prior to the actual oral proficiency interview. As well, you must log in at least 20 to 30 minutes before the scheduled OPI so that you can be connected to the virtual proctor and they can troubleshoot any technical difficulties. They can check your surroundings to make sure that there's no one else in the room with you, and they can confirm your identity. So the OPIs will be administered through July 23rd, 2021. However, your application still must be submitted by 5 p.m. on July 8th. We suggest that you submit your application as soon as you possibly can so that you can secure a date and time that works well for your schedule. And so you have plenty of time to prepare and you don't feel rushed at the very end to get it in. Also, please note, you must complete an OPI by midnight on Friday, July 23rd, 2021. You cannot reschedule an OPI within 24 hours of the scheduled test time. A missed OPI will not be rescheduled. Applicants that do not meet a minimum standard of a limited working proficiency or ILR 2 or don't complete an English oral proficiency interview will be disqualified from consideration and notified of that decision. So we, within stage 2, and that's when you get invited to do the additional skills testing. We only invite 40 to 80 provisionally selected candidates to skills testing. This is traditionally a day-long test. The test will be administered on the following dates: Saturday, September 25th, and Saturday, October 2nd. Candidates will only need to be present at one of these dates. And again, just to reiterate, due to the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, at this time, we're anticipating these tests to happen in person. However, once we get closer, we'll make determination on safety measures and requirements. The English Language Proficiency Test, or ELPT, tests your listening, reading, and writing abilities in English. You will also need to complete another oral proficiency interview. However, this one will be in your native language. The OPI is given over the phone, and then we'll again have it proctored via webcam virtually. You will also be tested on your basic computer skills. We strongly encourage you to practice those skills, and we've provided resources, including a checklist of those skills and a link to the test on our website. It is crucial that you visit our website and consult those resources. EHLS staff will extend offers of admissions in late October or early November. We anticipate only selecting 15 to 20 scholars. So just to reiterate, every year we get anywhere between 200 and 300 applications. We only provisionally select and invite 40 to 80 individuals to stage 2. And then from stage 2, when those skills testing comes together, we only select 15 to 20 scholars for the program. So this is a very competitive program. So some tips that I have for you all while you're doing your application. For stage 1, use information from your resume to complete the employment section of your application. The information you fill in the application should be consistent with your resume. Make it easy for application reviewers to understand your education and work history. And please explain any gaps that you may have. Gather your transcript documents as soon as possible. If your transcript is from a foreign institution, you will need to have it evaluated. And again, I want to preface, evaluated is different than translated. You have to have the degree evaluated. Transcript evaluations must show the US equivalence of the degree, and it must be at least a US equivalence to a bachelor's degree. We have a link to a list of accredited evaluation services on our website, and it is also listed in the application. We ask and also please ask your references early. You will list the references in their contact information in the application, and then we send out an email to them directly to gather that reference letter. They will fill out the reference letter and form and submit it to us directly. They will need to do this on their own. And once you put in that information into the system and you hit submit, your part is done and they automatically get an email to submit the reference letter and complete the recommendation form. We recommend submitting an application sooner rather than waiting so that you have plenty of time to do your oral proficiency interview in English. Some additional things to note is please write specific and detailed essays. It is important that you clearly demonstrate your interest in working for the federal government. On our website, you will find a place where you can see our selection criteria. And on our website, that's under Is EHLS for Me? Eligibility criteria, selection criteria. And this is a screenshot of the EHLS program website. There are selection criteria definitions that reviewers will be using to assess each criterion. Be sure to review the definitions so that you will know what the reviewers are looking for in the application. And that selection criteria definitions also clearly give you some great reference points for those essays that you must write. And it's 5 different essays, so make sure that you read those selection criteria definitions. So for tips for stage 2 of the application process, and that's being invited to the additional skills testing portion, be sure that you've completed and practiced your computer skills. Complete and review the writing test by referring to the information and link on our EHLS website. We have a link to a document listed there, and it, clearly states the computer skills that you're going to need for the computer skills evaluation. Please read that information carefully and practice. Here is the screenshot on our website of where you would find that computer skills self-assessment. And it's right underneath how to apply step 4, skills testing, preparing for the tests. And I provided a link as well. So as we close our presentation for today, I would love to inform you that we are on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So I encourage you to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on LinkedIn. We update those platforms regularly with information that is pertinent to our applicants. Also, you are currently watching a recorded version of our general information webinar. However, we have many virtual events this year, and we would love to have you at any of them. So on the screen, you'll just see some of our upcoming EHLS virtual webinars, but so that you are aware, starting in April, May, and June, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we are going to have a live Q&A session with special guests from the program. So please plan to tune in, and you can find that information again on our website. And that's where you can come and just hang out with me, Maria, and our colleague Rosalie from IIE and ask your questions. We're going to be there to answer them for you. And then also, if you have more questions or need any assistance, please reach out to any of us. Maria, do you have any last thoughts or comments before we send our friends along?
No, not really. I just encourage you to do a really good job on your application. And If while you're putting your application together, should you need any assistance, please reach out to us and we're happy to help.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.